Likely in the late afternoon to early evening hours. The high for Friday is 84. Now for the weekend, much nicer. Sunshine in the sky Saturday, much of Sunday. Highs in the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107.
Please press button now. No, number 1.
Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody, to this Thursday night edition of Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. For those of you who are driving around the state, if you just are driving through what I just drove through coming back from Clemson, I got 2 words for you. Hang on, because it is rough. Woo! Did I drive? It was like having a car wash riding along with you without the soap. Man, it was coming down in barrels out there as I was getting back into Columbia from being up at Clemson today, where we had practice for the teams, getting ready for the regional. We hope will start tomorrow. The weather up at Clemson for tomorrow does not look good either. Rain chances like 85% for much of or part of the day. So that schedule, noon start for the first game and then 6 o'clock for the second game, all that could be washed away to some degree. So pay close attention to reports coming out of Clemson tomorrow. Chris Bergen joining us from the Berge Palace down in Sardis, and he was in Conway today over at Coastal Carolina. Same thing there as far as the teams practicing, getting ready for the regional. Berge, welcome in. How was your weather down there today? Yeah, we'll have Berge with us in just a second, and we'll find out how the weather was down there along the coast. I believe they were getting some of the same weather that we were getting in other parts of the state. Did you get rained on, sir?
The animals are lining up 2 by 2 out in front of the Berge Palace right now. It's been raining here in Florence since 4 o'clock this afternoon. I mean, just dumping. Now, Coastal, I was down there from 10 o'clock this morning until about 1:30, 1 o'clock this afternoon. They were fine. And the weather forecast keeps changing. 2 days ago, they were calling it a weather alert day on Friday with severe storms. Now it looks like we might get lucky tomorrow, so who knows? Only Mother Nature knows, my friend.
Yeah. Well, after watching teams take batting practice, actually Kentucky, Clemson got in its practice. They were the first ones out there this morning about 10 o'clock. They went till about 11:15, so they got the full access to the
Same
field.
thing Coastal did. Yep.
All right, and then the second team out was West Virginia. They got their practice in. Kentucky, they had their practice cut short, and they pulled the tarp out on the field at Clemson at Doug Kingsmore. And then upstate, now they did a little running around on the field, but I think they were going to just hit in the cages. I don't think they were going to get a chance to get on the field, and they weren't going to take the tarp off the field. So they got a little short change there from that standpoint. But, you know, what can you tell about a baseball team in practice catching fly balls, ground balls, and hitting in the cage out there, you know?
I thought Coastal looked great in shorts and T-shirts.
And
they look like a Omaha team.
The pitchers
in
were
shorts and T-shirts,
snapping off those curveballs, and the sliders were sliding, and the curveballs were dropping, and all that. So it is the eve of the NCAA baseball tournament. We'll hear from both of the coaches tonight from Clemson and from Coastal Carolina coming up tonight. Mike Morgan as well at 7:05 tonight. Morgan on the move, and we'll get his thoughts, of course, on the NCAA baseball tournament and how things are looking to him as we get ready to dive into that. So we have Jesse the Body Johnston behind the board tonight, the plumber is now a high school graduate. So congratulations, Josh Cohen. You made it to the next stage of life. You're a high school graduate, and he'll be off, celebrating. I'm sure he's getting plastered tonight. And it'll take him a few days to recover. He'll be back with us sometime next week. So we have Jesse the Body Johnston behind the board tonight. Phone number
There are a few
888.
things in life, Phil, I would love to see. One of them, I think, is the plumber drunk. I think that would be hilarious to watch. I really do. I think that would be funny to watch.
Yes, I'd like to see that in slow motion.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that would be hysterical.
It was funny today, too, talking to Malstat, the Clemson.
Yes, please tell me you got to his quote in there in your question.
He was. Well, it's on the tape. I don't know if we'll run it tonight, but you mean about throwing up on the?
Yes.
Well, they were talking to him. I think it was John Blau from the Post and Courier who asked the question about what they've done with the bullpens and the fact that the fans can reach over and touch the visiting bullpen. They're right there on top of the relief pitchers for the visiting team, and then they were talking about, and he brought up the alcohol and the fact that they're selling alcohol at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. The fans are getting really rowdy, and it's really, it can be really hard on the opposing relief pitchers. And I think I might have asked him the question, well, would you like to see the fans throwing up on the visiting relievers in the bullpens as they get so drunk over there, And I think he said it wasn't a bad idea. I think he kind of agreed with it. So anyway, we're going to hear from the head
club
coaches.
Atmosphere out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's what Eric Bakich wanted. He wanted loud, and he wanted fans rowdy, and I think he loves the idea that they've got alcohol sales, beer sales there at Doug Kingsmore now, and I think that it's probably helping their bottom line a little bit too with the extra money they're making off of that. So all that's looked at as a positive. So we'll hear from Eric Bakich tonight and Kevin Schnall tonight as well. Now at Clemson they did individual press conferences, little gaggles with the coach and two different players. Down your way, they just had one press conference with coach and players together?
That's correct. They had Kevin Schnall and then infielder Blake Barthol and pitcher Jacob Morrison, who met with the media. We will hear from Schnall and Barthol together.
Well, I guess we had news coming out of Clemson, too, in that it will be Drew Titsworth starting pitching for Clemson tomorrow, assuming they play tomorrow. He's going to be the starter in Game 1 as things stand now. And also, they got clearance from the doctors, and Reed Garris is back available, and Ethan Darden is back available. So Clemson's going to have a plethora of arms available. Those guys have been out. Garris went down in the Duke series. That was back on May 9th was his last appearance. And Darden's last appearance was April the 19th, I think it was, somewhere in mid-April. So he's been out a while. And, man, they get these two arms back. And it was Darden's injury that opened the door for Titsworth to move from the bullpen into the starting rotation. And he's done a nice job. He's 2-1 as a starter since stepping into that role. And they like him. He's been the number 2 guy. So, the question – and Eric Bakich, and you'll hear him when he talks about it, but, he was very forceful when he was asked the question, because you know what people are thinking. Man, you're rolling the dice here by not starting a Canuck. You're not starting your number 1 against a really good hitting team.
Yeah. Even
though you shut them out back in March, that doesn't mean anything. This is a team that's got that bats .319 and has 99 home runs. I think some are calling. In fact, Bakich calls Upstate the best 4 seed in the tournament. So is he playing with fire? But he believes in Drew Titsworth too, as far as his ability as a pitcher. But he's not your number 1. You're going to hold your number 1 for either West Virginia or Kentucky.
It's the prudent move, Phil. It's obviously going to fire up Upstate. I mean, a little more motivation. But let's be honest and real here. If Clemson cannot beat USC Upstate without Aiden Canuck, they've got a lot more problems to worry about in this regional. They're not getting out of the regional. So it's the prudent move. And, yeah, it could backfire and bite them in the butt. And if they lose, boy, they're in sad shape. And Eric Backage will have to rethink that decision all offseason. I think they will be fine. The one luxury he has is Clemson's bullpen, especially the back end of its bullpen, is as good as anybody in the country. So if they do start to get into some trouble against Upstate, and I agree with you, they're a very good hitting team. But again, the only team to shut them out this season was Clemson earlier in the year. So there is history there that the pitching staff for Clemson can shut down that offense. Now, as Coach told us on Monday, he feels like his team is swinging the bats a whole lot better. And they were kind of, I got the notion from talking with Coach Sweeney that they were anticipating facing Aiden Canuck. So they may have to rethink everything after today. But I think Clemson's making the right move, and you just hope that you get a solid 4 or 5 innings out of Drew Titsworth, and then you can go to your bullpen, which has been probably just as good as Aiden Canuck has been a starter.
So when we have you heard the audio from Coach Backich, by the way?
I have not.
Okay,
I have
good.
not. I just saw the quote tweet of you asking Lucas Malstead if he'd be okay with people puking on the visiting pitchers.
Yeah.
And that was hysterical.
Well, but you'll have to hear the question to Coach Backich and his answer when he tells us who's going to be the starting pitcher. We'll just leave it at that. You want to hear that when that comes up.
Excellent.
We'll get to that in just a little bit. Our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. If you want to give us a shout, feel free to do so. You can also send us a text message. We look at your text messages. Most of them we read. Some we do not, in particular from one writer who just can't help himself but be completely vulgar and out of bounds with everything he says, so we ignore him. But feel free to keep writing, and we'll just keep ignoring. But if it's a good text message, something that's got some maturity to it, and asks a decent question or is making a decent point, we'll read that on the air. And that number to text us on is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. Now, a few notes today besides all the baseball stuff going on. The SEC, ACC, and Sunbelt, working with their television people, they've announced some more game times for the coming season, just a few more games. So from Clemson's standpoint, the Troy game on September 6th will have a 3:30 kickoff on the ACC network.
Phew.
It's going to be pretty hot.
Don't you know it?
It'll be pretty hot. September 13th at Georgia Tech will be noon, ABC or ESPN. Georgia Tech's going to be pretty good this year. You know, they gave themselves rings for going 7-6 and losing in the Birmingham Bowl. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yeah, they gave themselves
what
rings.
What were the rings for?
For going 7-6 and not losing
Having
a home
winning
game.
Season? Oh,
yeah, and not losing a home game for the first time in a long time, and losing in the Birmingham Bowl to Vanderbilt. Losing to Vanderbilt in the Birmingham Bowl, going 7-6.
Get you a ring.
Get you a ring. Hey, it all depends on what your standards are. But they're pretty good. They've improved, and that'll be one Clemson will have to be watchful for. And then their November 14th game at Louisville, which is that Friday night game, will be an 8 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. And then for South Carolina, a couple of more game times announced. The South Carolina State game, 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus. And then the September 13th Vanderbilt game, the SEC opener for the Gamecocks, that'll be at home, 7 o'clock or 7:45 on ESPN or the SEC Network. And, you can't take Vanderbilt lightly, not with their quarterback coming back and the confidence and momentum that they have coming off of last season.
Wonder how many media members will pick them to win the SEC. Remember, we had, one media member picked them to win the SEC last year, and about, 5 or 6 games into the year, she wasn't looking so silly.
Yeah, that person looked very bright. The Texas at Ohio State season opener now officially announced as a big noon kickoff there in Columbus for that one. Longtime Virginia coach Brian O'Connor, this according to Baseball America, at Virginia is the favorite to become the new Mississippi State head coach. O'Connor led the Cavaliers to 7 College World Series appearances, and he won the national title in 2015. They did not make the tournament this year.
Probably should have, but Phil, if I'm an ACC fan, that's concerning because here's a guy who is one of the top coaches in the country, won a national championship, as you pointed out, and he's basically going to another school. It's a lateral move, but I'm sure it's not from the pay scale. I'm sure Mississippi State is throwing a ton of money at him that Virginia just can't match.
Yeah.
And when you think of baseball at Virginia, you think of Brian O'Connor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would be, if I'm a Cavaliers fan, this stinks. This really does. Even though they missed the tournament this year, I mean, you don't anticipate UVA doing that, and they were one of the top 5 teams in the country in preseason.
And this comes a year, basically a year after they lost their basketball coach. And their basketball team really suffered for it this past season. And NCAA President Charlie Baker, can't leave well enough alone, can they? No. Says the NCAA tournament expansion could come as early as next year. Quote, that would be the goal, to try and do this for next year. We've been talking about 72 and 76. 72 and 76.
Who is in favor of this outside of Charlie Baker and some coaches? I mean, there's not a fan on this planet that wants to see them expand the NCAA tournament. It's already too many teams as it is. And all right, I'll do this. I'll meet you halfway, Mr. Baker, if the additional teams are all mid-major teams. Now, how do you think that's going to happen? Or is this just more SEC, ACC, Big 10, and Big 12 teams?
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
I know it is.
I don't know what he's looking at here. Is he talking about another round of first fours and things like that, having lower seeds, a bunch of lower seeds going in and playing their way into the tournament, or just what? Bill Self from the Big 12 had the same comments earlier in the week at their spring meetings that he said their coaches would be in favor of expanding the NCAA tournament. So it's probably going to happen when this kind of talk
I'm sure it is
going on. It's like an express train. It gets rolling, and it's not going to stop. Okay, baseball this afternoon. Braves are playing a doubleheader up in Philly, and the Braves lose again. Boy, they got off to the terrible start, and you kind of thought, well, they're going to get it together and they're going to turn it around, but no, they can't.
They did for a while.
Well, they get to 500 and then they slide back, and today the same story. They lose up in Philly 5-4. A 2-run homer by a backup catcher for Philly drove in the go-ahead run. Actually, he hit a 2-run homer. Then he drove in the go-ahead run when he was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 8th. And he also caught 2 runners stealing. He might not be the backup much longer with that kind of day. Bryce Harper, by the way, was out of the lineup after being hit on the right elbow by a Spencer Strider 95-mile-an-hour fastball the other day. Anyway, the Phillies beat the Braves 5-4, and the Braves are now 25-29, and the Phillies are 36-19. So, the Braves are pretty much eliminated. Might as well, quit following them. If they're on the radio anywhere, take them off the radio, and
just hate the Braves, don't you?
Just forget about them. Take them off television. They're done. They're cooked. And you know what? We should ask Morgan about that because that's one of his strengths is talking about the Braves. So we should discuss that tonight. All right, let's run to the break, and we'll be back. Feel free to dial us up if you want to jump on board. Going to hear from Eric Bakich coming up in our next half hour. Mike Morgan at 7:05. Hear from the Coastal folks coming up in the second hour. We'll have recruiting for you as well. So give us a call if you want to join us. 888-898-2525 is the phone number, and we'll be back in just a moment.
When I grew up, I want to be a nurse. I want to be an engineer.
I want to be a teacher.
There's never been a better time to start making their dreams come true. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to save for their future education. Contributions are tax deductible, earnings are tax free, and you can start saving right now with any amount. Go to futurescholar.com today to discover the smart, easy way to save for college. That's futurescholar.com.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to make sure you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
Now, as if the Braves needed more bad news, another injury issue for them. A.J. Smith-Shawver left this afternoon's start early due to what manager Brian Snitker described as a pop in his elbow. So the team placed him on the IL with a strained right elbow. Immediately after the game, he'll return to Atlanta for evaluation. Snitker stressed, quote, "It doesn't look good." So
that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't like to feel a pop in your elbow.
No.
Yeah. By the way, I don't like to play favorites here on Sports Talk. You know that, right? But I have to give a shout out to the hometown heroes, the Latta Viking softball team, which won a state championship last night, defeating a very good Louisville team. Congratulations to Louisville. But the mighty Latta Vikings, home of champions and cradle of academics, home of champions, cradle of academics, won their third state championship in history in softball by winning 5-2 last night. So still got some other series going on because of the weather. Some series have been pushed back. Do you know Somerville had an 83-game softball winning streak snapped the other night?
I saw that last night. I was scrolling through Twitter, and unfortunately I couldn't tell by the tweet that came out whether that was baseball or softball, but I thought, good grief, that's remarkable.
Yeah, it was softball because I saw David Shelton had tweeted when they won, he had tweeted out that they had stretched their winning streak to 83 games.
That's incredible.
So when they lose, of course, obviously it snaps that 83-game winning streak. Let's see, what else do we have here? From yesterday, something we didn't get a chance to mention, USC Aiken named Keith Gorman as their new head baseball coach. So that's one of the jobs in the state that's been filled. And 21 years of experience, a record of .468 and .207. That's a .693 winning percentage. Coached at Barton College, where he was 152 and 116, and then he went to where did he go next? He went to the Bulldogs. Who were the Bulldogs that he went to? Where he was 316 and 91. Cumberland, would that be Cumberland County College? Where he had a powerhouse, 316 and 91, 21 years of experience, as I mentioned.
That's Cliff Ellis's starting point.
I believe it, Cumberland College.
If that's the same, If that's the same one in,
I don't know Cumberland. This is Cumberland County College. Is that the same one? that he was at? You'd have to look
That's
that
a good
up.
question. I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, he's headed to USC Aiken as the new head baseball coach there. And let's see here. I meant to mention this last night, didn't get to it, but the numbers came out, television numbers came out for the racing over the weekend, for Memorial Day weekend, and the Coke 600 got around 2.6 million viewers, which was a little bit down from 2024. They had 3.1 million. And this was, remember now, this was the first one streamed on Prime Video. So they got 2.6 million, down from 3.1 million from last year when it was cut short by rain. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Overnight showers are likely with the low temperature dropping to 68. Tomorrow we do get some heavy storms, likely in the late afternoon to early evening hours. The high for Friday is 84. Now for the weekend, much nicer. Sunshine in the sky Saturday, much of Sunday. Highs in the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life with Spa MD, your sanctuary of rejuvenation. Feel the tension melt away as our expert team guides you through your customized wellness journey. From soothing massages to revitalizing treatments, we promise a remarkable experience that leaves you feeling renewed and empowered. Discover the calm within every visit. Reach out at 251-9400 or online at visitspamd.com to explore your options. Your oasis of tranquility awaits.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Ford is recalling more than 1 million vehicles due to a software issue that can cause the rear-view camera to malfunction, increasing the chances of an accident. The software error, which Ford reported to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration earlier this month, may cause the rear-view camera image to delay, freeze, or not display when the vehicle is in reverse. The problem will be fixed by a dealer. The Department of Homeland Security is putting hundreds of sanctuary jurisdictions across the country on notice. The department Thursday is publishing a list of the jurisdictions and said each one will receive formal notification that the government has deemed them non-compliant and if they're believed to be in violation of any federal criminal statutes. On Wall Street, they're up by 117 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey, it's Kev. I'm hanging out with Ken, the owner of Broker Solar, a local company. Now, Ken, I know you have some solar pet peeves. These national guys, they're just not very honest.
One of the common myths in the solar industry is that you can get solar for free or some kind of government-paid solar, and that's simply not the truth. What you can get is a solid investment that has tax credits that will pay you back for years to come. That's one of the things that we promote at Broker Solar is proper education in what solar is and how you can take advantage of the incentives that are out there, local and federal.
Tell me more about these tax credits.
There's currently a huge federal tax credit that gets you a third of the system cost back. And on top of that, the state of South Carolina, we're lucky enough to have an extra 25% of that solar system cost come back to you in the form of tax credits, totaling for a 55% discount on your solar system back in tax credits.
Call Broker Solar. Call them now, 803-807-7417 or online, brokersolar.com.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
All right, we're back on Sports Talk Media Network. Here on a Thursday night. It's a big Thursday night here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, Jesse the Body Johnston, all together. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Want to mention to you, I know the weather today was pretty lousy around the state, but you know when it's beautiful, everybody wants to get to the coast of South Carolina. And if you haven't made your plans for your summer vacation, you need to do so right away. Give Jimmy Smith a call and let Jimmy and the staff find you a great place to stay for your great getaway to the beach. That phone number is 843-237-4246 or online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. In fact, while the rain's chasing everybody away, that just makes more room for you. So don't delay. Make that phone call today, 843-237-4246, or go online to find out more. pauliesvacationrentals.com for your perfect beach getaway. And Jimmy promises when you rent from him, you will not get rained on. He will protect you from the rain. Well, he has unique powers. He has the power to protect you from the rain. So your investment is well protected, and your vacation will be well protected as well. All right. Looking forward to. I tell you, I do enjoy. It's too bad it was bad weather. I do enjoy practice day before the regionals, just sitting in the press box and watching the teams do what they do in the cage, and a little bit of pitching on the side, and shagging fly balls and taking infield. You know, I mean, really watching a baseball practice, it might be more fun. Well, I don't know. Football practice is full of action. You might not know what's going on, but there's action everywhere because football coaches, they believe in guys moving the entire time. So you've got the offensive line here, the defensive line there, the running backs here, the quarterbacks there, the kicking game over there, offensive linemen, defense, everybody's somewhere moving around, you know, linebackers, whatever the case may be. They're all moving around. Kind of the same thing in baseball. You got the guys in the cage. You got the pitchers on the side throwing. You got the guys in the outfield catching the fly balls from BP and also some fungos. You got infielders having balls hit to them while also looking out for balls coming out of batting practice. It's constant motion out there.
Yeah, I don't know how baseball teams do it. Watching practice, there are so many moving parts, and you've got to have your head on a swivel, and I think Dylan Eskew could probably attest to this. South Carolina pitcher who got hit by a batting practice ball in the bullpen out of Arkansas. And so, I mean, it is something to watch if you've never watched. And I'm sure at the major league level it's the same. They just don't have maybe quite the amount of players on the field. But yeah, it's crazy watching what Coastal was doing. They had guys behind the batting cage with the machine bunting, and then had guys in the cage. And of course, as you pointed out, the infielders who are taking ground balls from the fungos and also hoping they're not getting hit by their teammates who are hitting line drives and fly balls into the outfield.
Yeah. It's dangerous, you know.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
It's dangerous. You got to, even as a fan of the ball game, man, you got to. I never liked sitting in a baseball park without having the the fence in front of me. What do you call it? The
netting.
The netting. Yeah. I like to. I mean, because I want to relax and enjoy. I don't want to have to be sitting there the whole time and watching looking for the baseball coming at my noggin. I want to sit there and relax. I don't mind a pop up. Lazily going over the netting and having a chance to catch it. It's those line drives. That's why people, of course, they've extended the netting now practically in all baseball parks. Major League.
Was so smart.
Yeah. But before that, you just had the netting that would stretch, behind home plate and maybe a little bit down each line, but it wouldn't reach the dugout. It usually ended about the dugouts. And the dugouts were open, and if you sat behind the dugout, as a lot of people, of course, like to do, those are great seats. But, man, a foul ball line drive coming at you would take some teeth away.
Well, and just think, Phil, the big thing now is exit velocity, and that the velo is the big four-letter word in baseball now. And you're talking about kids who are hitting it over 100 miles per hour off an aluminum bat. You have no time to react, and that's why I think it's somewhat miraculous that we have not had more third base coaches, first base coaches, or players in the dugout severely injured by baseball, because it comes off the bat now so fast. I don't see how they get out of the way.
Yeah. Got to have some quick reactions for sure.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, you want to take a phone call? Shall we take a phone?
Sure.
Okay. Well, our phone number, 888-898-2525, and I don't know where we're going. I mean, I know the person's name. Do we know where he's located? We don't know where he's located. Okay. The body will have to get the location of the caller next time. David is on with us. Where are you calling from, David?
Casey, South Carolina. Right down the road.
Good to have you with us. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. And I love your show, Chris and Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I got a question that concerns me about the baseball team, Carolina and Palmanera and Jeremiah Donati. I was for giving Palmanera another chance for another year, and at least one more year, but then when they announced it, then they interviewed Paul Mainieri. I was shocked when he said, I'm not going to make any coaching changes. And that makes me worry about Jeremiah Donati. How in the world would he let him come back and say, okay, you don't need to make any coaching changes. Don't make coaches, just get better. And I thought he'd have the right to say, you need to make a coaching change or we'll let you go. How do you think that went, and how they can get better if they make no coaching changes? And I'm surprised they let him make no coaching changes. Jeremiah Donati did. If you just expand on that, because Jeremiah Donati would have demanded some changes and then gave him one more year, but he didn't seem to do that. So if you could just expand on that, I'll take it off the air.
All right, sir. Thank you. I'll give you my opinion on that, and Berg, you'll give you his opinion on that. First of all, I applaud Jeremiah Donati for not having a knee-jerk reaction to this season. He didn't hire Paul Mainieri, and he could very easily have just said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to go another direction. I'm going to hire somebody that I know," and blah 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 blah. But he didn't do that. He didn't do anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't come out and say, he didn't say anything about baseball publicly. He's just remained quiet behind the scenes, which, you know what, I think is a pretty good idea. Maybe he recognizes some of the things that Mainieri had to deal with this year out of his control, a bunch of injuries. Then again, there were things under his control that they have to improve, no question about it. But it does sound like, and we're waiting on Jake McCoy to put out an announcement. I'm thinking he's going to come back to South Carolina. I don't know. Remember, we had him on last night, and he said he'd be announcing something this week. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. But it seems like they got some key people, coming back who are going to give them a nice group to build around, something to build on, guys that had pretty good years last year. And then their recruiting it remains to be seen how good these guys are that they're bringing in, but they're bringing in some guys with some good-looking credentials on paper. So, you got to get it done after that. So So I agree with what Donati did not do, which is he didn't make a change. I think that's the right thing. I don't think you fire a Hall of Fame coach with his record after just one season when you consider everything that was going on with this team, all the injuries and all that weakened this team in a number of areas. And I also salute Paul Mainieri for not having a knee-jerk reaction and firing coaches. He inherited Monty Lee. He obviously likes Monty Lee, and Monty is obviously liked by the ball players. I think Monty knows baseball. I think Monty knows how to coach. I think he was hamstrung some this year with various injuries to players. You can coach a player, Bergie, all you want. He still has to go out and perform. And baseball coaches and managers at the highest level or college coaches, they make decisions. They make the right call on a play. They tell a guy to lay down a bunt, and he doesn't execute it. That's on the player. The player still has to make the play. Now, little things, as John Whittle pointed out from his sources about some things that they didn't practice enough to be good at, those are things they've got to take a look at internally and fix. I got to believe that maybe the time away from baseball with Mainieri, this might have been a transitional season for him to kind of get back in the flow of coaching baseball. And
I think that's fair.
And learning about the SEC and kind of rekindling, some of the things that he has to do as a coach to make sure that his team is ready. So, to answer your question, in my opinion, I think the fact that there were no moves was a good move. As I said last night, I believe this team will be in a regional next year. I don't really have anything to base that on other than a gut feeling that they won't go through another season in 26 like they did in 25. So that's just my opinion on that situation.
You bring up an interesting point about John Whittle's column, and I think the silence coming from the USC administration is somewhat troubling from a fan's perspective. I think Gamecock fans want to hear Jeremiah Donati come out and say something. Basically, they are allowing the players to en route comment on it. Ethan Petrie basically hinted at these stories, said don't believe everything you read on the internet. And then, of course, you had Roman Kimball come out and basically lambasted his father for his comments on social media. But I think there would have been some productivity for either Jeremiah Donati or Paul Mainieri, somebody within that baseball program coming out and commenting, one way or the other, just making a statement with regards to John's column, because let's face it, that was a damning column on the program. And as we pointed out, and I mentioned when John was on our show last week, it speaks to, a situation where it's almost ineptitude within the program. And Paul Mainieri is too good a coach for that to allow it and just stand on its own merits. I would have thought they would have said something. Now, to David's point about not, making a move with the coaches, I don't want this to come out as if I'm calling for a coach, but it's interesting that he was really, really behind Terry Rooney. And let's face it, that pitching staff was awful. Now, whether or not it's Terry Rooney's fault, has he forgotten how to coach pitchers? I don't think so. He's had a very, very good career, and obviously Paul Mainieri is behind him. But you can't allow what happened this year to continue into next year. So I think Terry Rooney, among everybody on that staff, is as big a focal point as Paul Mainieri is, because that pitching staff was just atrocious, Phil. And they've got to get that fixed.
Oh, no
question. They've got to get that fixed.
Oh, yeah, you can't have a ERA in the SEC of over 9.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly obvious. I'm not stating anything that's newsworthy.
Right. You can't have multiple teams scoring 20 runs or more on you, and multiple teams scoring double figures. No, they got to fix that, and they got to fix it through the portal. And they got to fix it through junior college transfers and quality high school pitching, and so we'll see. Jeremiah Donati's got a couple of programs there with men's basketball and baseball coming off horrid seasons.
Yes.
Horrid seasons that he's inherited these situations, and the word was that they're giving basketball everything they need, and that's code for money to be able to go out and get the best players that you can get. And same thing here is that they're providing baseball with everything that they need. Same thing, give them enough of enough coin to be able to spend in this day and age of enticing players that way. It's a transactional world we live in now in college sports, giving them what they need to get it done. So we'll see if the off season is better than the in season. If they have a great off season, then maybe they can offset a terrible in season and turn this thing around in 26. I'm confident that they will. One thing I liked about Palmineri is, he's 67, 68 years old. He has nothing to prove. He's got 1,500 plus wins at the national championship and great respect. I imagine great respect throughout the college baseball world. And he didn't bite his tongue. Maybe his approach should have been putting the blame on himself and all the coaches after, every loss. But, he was out front when saying, this guy needed to take a walk there, or we should have gotten that bunt down, or, we need to make a play. I mean, he put the responsibility on the players out there. And a lot of coaches don't do that, even though they want to do it. They won't even, I'm not going to say he threw him under the bus. He didn't call him out by name. But he would mention,
a lot more candid, though, than a lot of coaches are.
He was very, very straightforward in that sometimes. So I thought that was kind of refreshing. I mean, maybe that's a product of his age and his experience and what he's accomplished. All right, David, thank you for the phone call. Hopefully we answered your question. Really, it was our responses were our opinions, because there's nothing to say there from a factual standpoint. I mean, we're just going by, I'm giving you what I think was the right thing to do, and I think the right thing to do was to do nothing this time around. I know that falls on deaf ears to a lot of Gamecock supporters who are totally turned off by this team, totally upset by the way the season played out, and they wanted to change right away. I don't think you make a change like that after 1 year. I think, you could go fishing for a head coach. If you do that, you could go fishing for a head coach every 2 or 3 years until you find somebody who gets it going in the right direction. And you might have that guy. He might get it going in 20. Now, I would say, if they don't make it next year, then you probably have to go in another direction.
I would agree.
And I think Maneri would probably agree with that as well. By then he'll be pushing 70, 68, 69, whatever. Of course, I heard the other day that 80's the new 50. So I kind of concur with that. Not that I'm near 80 or anything. I'm way, way, way short of that. But one day we'll all be pushing 80. But 80's the new 50. So he looks. He's a young. He's a young man in terms of his demeanor and the way he carries himself. Seems pretty energetic. So I don't think that his age is a factor with him as well. As long as you got to be able to connect with your players, and there's a pretty big age gap for him and his players. Can he connect with those players and get the best out of them, especially after being out of baseball for 3 years that he was? Probably getting back into it and sharpening his own skills, his own tools. Probably took him a year to get that done. We'll see if he's better next year.
I would think so, but also you have to figure out when he was at LSU, he was in his early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. So there's still a major gap between kids that are 20 years of age and late 50s, 60 years of age. So he figured out a way to communicate with the players at LSU, and he's got to rekindle that obviously here at Carolina if that's an issue. We don't even know if that's an issue.
Yeah. Well, I think the good thing is that they've had a calm off season. Some players have hit the portal. No player of major significance has hit the portal yet who can come back, who wants to, you're going to have guys leave because of the draft, obviously. But so far, they've had a pretty quiet offseason and have picked up some players as well. And we'll be back.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Lawkins. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. your home's AC will run cool, your drive-through coffee will be hot, and the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III. Heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5. I'm looking at some of the responses, Bergie, here on our Twitter, SC Sports Now. SC Sports Now. Give us a follow if you haven't given us a follow on our Twitter, SC Sports Now. To the question and the answer about the Clemson fans puking on the visiting relief pitchers in the bullpen since they're so close to them. I didn't realize this thing had kind of grown a few legs out there, and people were responding to it. I see one poster says, at $11 a beer, puking will not be caused solely from the beer garden. Are they charging $11 a beer? This is from a poster named Clemson Matt, so I'm assuming he's a Tiger fan.
And that's spot on, too, because the students aren't paying $11 a beer. I can promise you that.
And then here's another one from Rick, who says, please relay this message about the puking. Please relay this message to the freaks in the green vest. I'm not sure what that means. You know what that means?
I don't.
Yeah, the green vest. Not sure what that is. Somebody will have to explain that. So
I tell you, who knows what happens inside Club DKS?
Club DKS. When the lights go down,
the party starts.
Funny things happen. All right, we're coming up top of the hour. Mike Morgan will be with us after the top of the hour. We'll talk about the Braves and their ongoing issues, and also about the NCAA baseball tournament. That's right in his wheelhouse. He's been on a little vacation. Saw some pictures. Let's see, where was he? I think he was out in I think he was right behind you on your trail out in Arizona.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's where he was. I think he was in Phoenix and out that way. I think that's what I recall seeing. And then we'll hear from Coach Bakich of Clemson and from the Coastal Carolina folks as well about the beginning of those regionals tomorrow, we hope, weather permitting. Hopefully those things will go off as planned. And we won't have you're going to have delays, unfortunately, right? You know you're going to have delays.
Yeah.
Because of the weather all around. And with so many, here's the thing, so many regionals are in the Southeast.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Where the weather is going to be messy. I mean, there's going to be delays all over the place. It's inevitable that some of these regionals are going to carry over till Monday, don't you think?
Well, and I was going to say this. I think the smartest thing the NCAA did with regards to the baseball tournament was get rid of the triple header on Saturday. Remember, it used to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. setup. You'd play 2 games on Friday, then you'd have a loser's bracket game at like 11 o'clock in the morning, middle of the afternoon, winner's bracket game, and then you had another elimination game to wrap up the day. I think moving to just 2 games a day and extending it to Monday was the smartest thing the NCAA has done. I think it makes the tournament better.
Yeah, I agree. And it probably helps you with your pitching as well.
Yeah, and that's why it makes the tournament better. Exactly.
Yeah, trying to get all that in order. Okay, so we got the break coming up here at the top of the hour, and we'll continue on the other side. We'll squeeze in some more phone calls, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us on. And let's see, do we have any text messages? Let's see here. No. Once again, text message from Mr. Ignore. And so we've deleted him, and we're ignoring him because he never says anything positive. And
make the show better, folks. That's all we want you to do.
Yeah, rise above, man.
Add value.
If you're going to send us a text message and you want it read on the air, don't always be so nasty about things. We'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The White House is downplaying a trade courts ruling that blocks President Trump's import tariffs. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
In the view of White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett, the trade court's decision striking down most of the tariffs is just a hiccup. He blamed activist judges, even though Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan nominated 2 of the 3 judges who issued the ruling. Hassett told Fox Business that it's not going to affect trade negotiations with other countries and that the White House is very confident the court's ruling is incorrect. Greg Clugston, Washington.
There are concerns that Russia may try to restart a disputed Ukrainian nuclear power plant. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
The 6-reactor Zaporizhzhia plant, the largest in Europe, has been at the center of concerns since Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The plant remains held by Russia but doesn't produce power. In a report on Tuesday, Greenpeace had said that satellite photos had showed Russia had been building an electricity high-voltage power line in parts of the regions. An AP analysis of the same area also showed power lines and pylon construction. Groups think Russia's moving ahead with dangerous and illegal plans for restarting the nuclear plant at Zaporizhzhia. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Ford's recalling more than 1 million vehicles due to a software issue that can cause the rearview camera to malfunction, increasing the chance of an accident. The software error, which Ford reported to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration earlier this month, may cause the rearview camera image to delay, freeze, or not display when the vehicle is in reverse. The problem will be fixed by a dealer. On Wall Street, the Dow by 117 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2025 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. Offer valid through 7/20/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Stocks lose steam in today's market report.
A big rally for stocks that began in Asia ran out of momentum on Wall Street. Markets are wondering what comes next after a court blocked many of President Donald Trump's tariffs. The S&P 500 rose 0.4% Thursday after giving up most of an earlier gain. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 117 points. It's about 0.3%. The Nasdaq Composite added 0.4%. Global markets started the day higher in Asia, where investors had the first chance to react to a ruling late Wednesday by the U.S. Court of International Trade. The White House said it would appeal. Nvidia rallied 3.2% after releasing a stronger than expected profit report. Seth Sutel, New York.
Filings for U.S. jobless aid jumped last week, but American workers broadly remain secure in their jobs despite economic uncertainty over global trade. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Overnight showers are likely with the low temperature dropping to 68. Tomorrow we do get some heavy storms, likely in the late afternoon to early evening hours. The high for Friday is 84. Now for the weekend, much nicer. Sunshine in the sky Saturday, much of Sunday. Highs in the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. I said to genius.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network on this big Thursday night. Great to have you with us heading into the NCAA Baseball Regionals. Mike Morgan going to be with us here in just a moment. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. And the body, Jesse Johnston, is with us here tonight as well. Let's get right into it. Another edition of Morgan on the Move, starring Mike Morgan, brought to you by Play It Again Sports. In the Harbison section of Columbia, Chris Mosley runs the best sporting goods shop in the Palmetto State, with all the things you'll want to buy, sell, or trade. Best selection, best prices, great friendly staff. That is Play It Again Sports in Columbia.
Brought to you by Love Chevy, where the inventory is overflowing and the deals are in full bloom. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Mike Morgan joining us now. Morgan on the Move. Mike, great to have you with us. I think you were on a little vacation last week. I think I follow you daily, nightly on your Instagram, just kind of keeping up with the Morgan family, and looks like you were having a good time. I think you were.
Are you even on Instagram?
Were you in? Was it Arizona?
I was. Yeah.
Went to a.
You're not actually on Instagram now, are you?
What's it called when somebody what's it what's the word I'm looking for?
You're a voyeur?
Well, not that. No, not going that far. No.
Especially with young housewives. Stay away, everybody. Corn is on the prowl.
Not going that far. No. What's the word when somebody's following you all the time? Stalker.
You're stalking?
Yeah, stalk.
Yeah.
I'm stalking you on Instagram. That's what I'm doing. I'm stalking you on Instagram. Yeah, I saw your pictures from, I think you were over in near a mountain somewhere, and I saw you at a baseball game, and I mean, you're just getting all over the place.
So what we did, now I'd only been to Arizona twice.
The most recent time was 2 years ago. I called an Arizona Cardinal game with Kyler Murray and all that jazz. That's technically in Glendale, and then which is just your typical suburb. There's nothing really special about Glendale. And then I did do a game, Arizona State, Oregon, on national radio as a triple overtime game. It's about 4 or 5 years ago, which was a lot of fun. So I got to see Tempe. Now that's like your typical college town on steroids. I think there's an enrollment of like 60,000. So those are my only two reference points to Arizona. But what we did was see the rest of the state, which is amazing, from the Grand Canyon to a town called Page, which has a number of landmark places and things to see, to Sedona, to Flagstaff, and then caught a Diamondbacks game the final night in Phoenix before heading back yesterday.
Mike, you had the same travel itinerary my wife and I and my in-laws had about 3 weeks ago.
You're kidding me.
No, we did exactly what you did. Almost verbatim.
That's crazy. Well, we should compare notes then. Yeah, I mean, from the Horseshoe Bend to the Antelope Canyon to, I mean, everybody knows about the Grand Canyon. I'm sure you came away with the same. Oh, Phil, we'll talk Clemson recruiting in a second.
I saw the movie National Lampoon Vacation. Okay, so I know all about Arizona. All right, I got.
Well, there you go.
Very nice. Yep.
Now on the way to Wally World. No, it's an amazing play. Here's what I'll say, and then we'll get back to the real serious nature of sports.
Yeah, because no one in South Carolina has ever been to Arizona before to see the Grand Canyon or the. But go ahead, tell us what it's like.
Well, if they haven't, like I had never been, then this is a great opportunity for two people on your show to help sell the fact Arizona could use the tourism on just how magnificent the Grand Canyon is, and that no pictures do it justice.
No, you're right.
You've got to go there in person, and if you hike now, Phil, you probably could have hiked 20 steps before you would have been doubled over and heaving in an inch of losing your life. But if you go down or a mile or so, I'm telling you, some people don't make it back up. I'm not kidding on this.
Well, here's the thing about the Grand Canyon. Let me tell you something. You might not know this. So you went like last week. If I waited and I go to the Grand Canyon in 50 years from now and go to the same spot that you went to last week, I'm going to see the exact same thing that you saw last week. In other words, the Grand Canyon doesn't change.
That's correct.
I mean, once
that's
you've
the
seen
beauty
it,
of it.
Once you've seen
I don't
it,
want it to change.
You've seen
assuming the Colorado River stops running through the base of the Grand Canyon, you're right, Phil.
Yeah. Where's it going to go?
Well, that's true.
You mean like dry up?
It just absolutely, exactly.
Dry up. Yeah. Yeah.
It is the desert. Phil.
Did you make it to the Did you make it to the Hoover Dam?
It's not the Hoover Dam. That's in Nevada.
Well, it's the Hoover Dam.
We made it to the second biggest dam. Chris, help me out. What is that called?
Damn, I can't believe you didn't make it to the Hoover Dam.
No, the Hoover Dam. You fly into Vegas for that.
I know, but it's right there at the edge of Colorado.
But we weren't in Colorado. We were in Arizona.
Well,
somebody help this man with geography.
They're connected.
There's the second biggest dam in that part of the country, and I just forgot the name of it.
Yeah,
we did visit that.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. That's right near Horseshoe Bend.
See, that's the difference between you and me. I don't go for the second best dam. I go for the best dam, which is the Hoover Dam.
Have you been to the Hoover Dam?
I've been to the Hoover Dam. I've been on the tour.
Okay.
I've been on the tour of the Hoover Dam where they take you inside the dam and show you how the dam was built.
Yeah. Well, Lake Murray right there where you are.
That's they got a dam.
And I used to frequent quite a bit. If you start doing the research on dams and how, of course, Lake Murray for a time I think was the largest man-made lake in America, if not the world. It's been surpassed since then. But the whole way, I'm amazed when I look at a dam, how in the world that produces electricity and does all the things it does. I don't. There are people way too smart to figure that out, but we're lucky to have them.
And Mike, it's the Glen Canyon Dam.
That's what I meant. Yes, the Glen Canyon Dam. We went we went and visited that, and we jet skied on Lake Powell. I mean, you can do a lot of fun things over there. Phil, if you ever leave the house for something besides a sporting event, there's a lot of opportunities for you and your family.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind. 50 years from now, I'll go to the same spot and see the exact same thing that you. All right, let's go to the Braves. Talk about the dam. Let's talk about the dam. Let's go to the Braves.
The damn Braves.
It burst.
Is it time? I mean, I believe it's, happily for me, I think it's time for the Braves to go away. They're over and done this year. Had another starter going on the IL list today with a pop in his elbow. Not good. Yeah. Not good times.
No, that's Smith Shawver, and he's one of their top young arms who got an opportunity with Spencer Strider when he was on the shelf. Strider comes back. Now Smith Shawver's on the shelf. They already don't have an incredibly deep staff or rotation. So it's a problem. It's a problem. And you combine that, while Acuna has been terrific in the week or so he's been out there, the rest of the lineup leaves a lot to be desired right now. There's just way too many players that are slumping and hitting below what you need to do. I don't like this stat, but WAR, wins above replacement. I mean, if you were to look at the WAR right now of some of the guys in the starting lineup, most of them, it wouldn't be real good. In other words, they're playing average to below average from a productivity standpoint at the plate, with the exception of Acuna, with the exception of Ozuna. There's not a whole lot else going on that's great right now for the Braves at the dish. So at some point, one of these things, if not both, are going to have to improve if you're going to get to the postseason, which that's the goal. I never thought this was a team that was winning this division. I just thought the Mets and the Phillies, at least one of those, would be too much for Atlanta. But now you start looking at it, and I don't look. I have the 5-15 rule. Have I told you what the 5-15 rule is? I mean, they ought to write this in the Grand Canyon, because it's gospel. I don't look at the standings before May 15th. So when people start freaking out about 0-7, or you lose, you get swept on the road, I don't care. Wake me up when it's 5:15. I'll start looking at what the record is, what the standings are. Well, now we're almost to June 1, so I do look at the standings, and while there's a ton of games to be played, we're only a third of the way through. You do not want to dig too big of a hole, and this team, it's not just the numbers. They're doing some things. There's base running blunders. It seems to be a lack of a spark in the clubhouse. There's been some theories they replaced both of their base coaches in the last couple of years and lost two guys there. They've replaced their hitting coach. I just don't know if there's a magical formula. We take for granted that they normally have a great clubhouse in Atlanta, and the rest kind of takes care of itself with the talent. I don't know if that's the case this year. There's a lot of questions right now about the Braves team.
Mike, looking at their team, and I agree with you, it's probably still too early to panic, but they're 10.5 games back of the Phillies. I doubt they're catching them at all. The question is, can you get a wild card? But they will come to a point, I think, where they're going to have to decide whether they're sellers or buyers. And I was looking through their top prospects, and the majority of them down in the minors are pitchers. But their problem here of late appears to be offense. They just can't score any runs. And the question is, when they get to that seller's point, if they are in out of the playoff mix, do they dig into their prospects to try and get somebody who help them out with the bat? How do you think they might handle the trade deadline?
They're typically not big into that. They typically, maybe like if you're talking about a Waldrop in terms of a pitcher,
right?
That's maybe their best arm on the farm right now. But they typically don't give away their primo prospects, and they typically don't chase big names before the trade deadline. Everybody talks about it, and they come up with their own hypothetical deals, and everybody gets all giddy when they hear some baseball insider on Twitter float out an all-star type name, whether it's an arm, whether it's a bat, and it never happens that way. That's just not the way Anthopoulos works, and it's not the way Liberty Media, who is still a little bit tight with the purse strings, kind of like Kornblut after lunch. They don't like to spend a whole lot. So they try to be very creative with their deals and get under the radar players and don't give up too much. But they're not the let's just go for broke and get the block. That's Ted Turner Braves. That's not Liberty Media Braves. Now that I'm not an employee of Liberty Media, I can say that. They can be pretty damn tight. And that's just the way they've been, and they've been criticized heavily for it around here. It's not like they're cheap. They do have a payroll-wise, they're about number 8 or number 9, but they're a long ways away from the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets. These are teams that in some cases spend almost $100 million more on payroll than Atlanta does.
Quick shift to the NCAA baseball tournament commencing tomorrow. You got a favorite or two favorites to win it all standing at the end of the day there in Omaha? You got your eyes on a couple?
I don't think it's as clear-cut as it was last year. I really like Tennessee. I actually have friends that go to casinos and gamble. They don't follow college baseball all year long, but they'll gamble on who they think will win the College World Series. And I thought Tennessee was a great bet last year. This year, I don't know. I mean, Vandy's the number 1 seed, and that's always kind of the kiss of death. At least it has been since Miami in 1999. So I'll probably stay away from that just because I think there's something about that. I don't know what it is, but the number 1 team rarely wins it. Everybody's going to start on the SEC side and kind of work their way out, right? So is it Arkansas? I'd love to see Arkansas finally bring it. I think Dave Van Horn has quietly been one of the best coaches in the sport, and if you remember, they were a pop fly away from winning it a few years ago, and they blew it against Oregon State. So I'll go with Arkansas just on the standpoint that maybe they're due, and they've always got a good team, and they're always one of the best coach teams in college baseball.
Mike, we'll let you get back to your unpacking. You probably got some sand in the old suitcase there. You probably took some rocks. Did you take some rocks out of the Grand Canyon? That's illegal, I'm
pretty sure that's illegal. I abide by all the gaming and fishing laws on the books, no matter where I am, and that would include geology laws as well.
That's good. That's laws against nature. If you take a rock, you're stealing from Mother Nature. So
I would never do that.
We shall talk to you next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it.
Glad you had a nice vacation there at the Grand Canyon, and it'll still be there in 50 years. So
that's flat remarkable, though. I mean, he basically said our travel itinerary too. It's amazing.
Well, did he make it? Did he make it to TP? He didn't make it to TP.
I'm not sure. That's a great question. Yeah.
Tell him about TP. I suggested you go to TP.
And that was a good call. It's a Mexican restaurant in Phoenix, in case you are interested.
Yeah, fantastic place. It's where all the stars, you saw all the autographs and the pictures on the wall and all that. It's where all the beautiful people go. All right, let's hit the break, and we'll come back with tonight's recruiting report here on Sports Talk. Then we're going to get to those coaches. And then hopefully a little bit of time to have another edition of As the NIL Churns. Got some good notes to talk about there as well. So we'll hit the break. Recruiting coming up after the break right here on Sports Talk.
Are you in the market for an auto loan? Move now. Get an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union now through October 31st, and you'll be entered to win up to $25,000 toward your qualifying auto loan and a $5,000 deposit into your Loyalty Select account. Loyalty Select is our highest yield savings account. Leave it there to grow or transfer it out to spend. And the best part? We'll be choosing monthly winners. So the earlier you get your auto loan, the more chances you have to win. So don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto to learn more or begin your auto loan application today. Not a Founders member yet? Visit us online or stop by an office to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. We have the financial tools you'll need and the personalized service you deserve. Relax, you're with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at scEducationLottery.com/betteryou.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, time for the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk. It is brought to you by good friends over at Seawell's. Of course, for Seawell's, we talk a lot about the daily lunch and buffet, but don't want you to forget about the catering side of the Seawell's operation, because they are the best in the catering business. They've been that way for nearly 8 decades. 8 decades, Bergie. That's almost remarkable. As much as you and me put together on this planet.
It is.
Actually, just one of us almost hits that count. But anyway, get to Seawell's and let them handle your very special events. You can go to them and have your event at their location on Rosewood Drive, or they'll come to you and take care of all the setup and the execution of the catering, and then the cleanup as well. Their phone number is 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com, and tomorrow is a roast beef Friday. The body.
Southern fried chicken, fried flounder, and pulled barbecue pork.
And roast beef, right?
Correct.
Yes, roast beef Friday. So I was going to suggest the body, Jesse the body, get over there for some good grub during your. They give you a full hour for lunch. It's your real job. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got to get the body to be a little more talkative. He's a little quiet right now. I got to loosen him up a little bit. So get over there for lunch. That's an order. Their lunch tomorrow is from 11 till 2. It's only $14, $14.50 if you pay with your debit card, and you will not be disappointed. Okay, recruiting-wise, tonight, Clemson had a visitor today. Of course, they got their official visit weekend coming up. Of course, they've been going after Samari Matthews of Cornelius, North Carolina, as a cornerback prospect, but Matthews changed his plans. He was going to visit Clemson this weekend, then he changed to Miami for this weekend, and apparently the two sides have moved on in other directions. And Clemson cornerback coach Mike Reed got a look in the spring at Chris Brunson, 6'2", 185, out of Snellville, Georgia, saw him in his spring game, and then told him to come in for a visit, and he did so today, and waiting to see if Clemson is going to make him an offer. Brunson's a guy who's been catching fire on the recruiting trail. Number of big offers have been coming in his way. He says he's been under the radar. He says he knows a lot of people don't know a lot about him, but he feels like, he said, he's starting to shine some right now. He went to Clemson as a youngster for camping, but has not been there. This was his first time going as a football prospect, his first visit to Clemson in that capacity. And he was hoping to get an offer from the Tigers. If they do offer him, he said he would definitely take an official visit with Clemson. Colorado State's been showing some pretty strong interest. He visited there in April. He has an official visit with the Rams set for June 6th. He also has officials with Louisville, June 13th, Virginia Tech, June 15th, and Mississippi State, June 20th. Last season, Brunson had 41 total tackles, and he broke up 10 passes. In addition to the Clemson visitation list this weekend is cornerback Danny Odom, 6'2", 185, Faro, Pennsylvania. And he also has visits set with Miami and Vanderbilt. Another deletion from the list for Clemson, according to Paul Strelo of Tiger Illustrated, is Xavion Griffin-Haynes, the defensive end out of Rollsville, which is up there near Raleigh, North Carolina. He had Clemson down among his favorites with Michigan, Nebraska, and Florida State, and he's a former North Carolina commit. Now it appears he's going to go back to North Carolina this weekend for an official, and he has those other schools down for official visits, Michigan, Nebraska, and Florida State. So it appears that Clemson is no longer going to be in pursuit of him or vice versa. Meantime, with that happening, maybe this is a direct result of that. Defensive end Duwan Forkpa, 6'2", 235 of IMG Academy, announced today that he's been re-offered by Clemson. And he also picked up an offer from Miami. So maybe all that's connected. South Carolina target Kosi Barnes was offered by Mississippi State. South Carolina offered 2027 quarterback Kareem Hughley, 6'1", 185 of Gainesville, Georgia. You know who came out of Gainesville, Georgia, don't you, Bergie?
Oh, gosh, there are a lot of people that have come out of Gainesville, Georgia, but I'm not sure which you're referencing.
Well, the only one folks around here would care about would be Deshaun Watson.
There we go.
Yeah, if he's as good as Deshaun Watson. Not as big, he's 6 feet, 185. What was Deshaun, about 6'2", 6'3", maybe?
Yeah, seems right.
Basketball, Clemson offered 6'2", James Sanderson from McKinney, Texas. And South Carolina target 6'5", Cole Rosario was offered by Duke. So you can probably kiss that one goodbye, because Duke gets who Duke wants. And
there's no doubt.
If they want him, they're probably going to get him. There you go with the recruiting report for tonight. Coming up after the break, we dive deeper into the regionals. We'll hear from the Tigers and from the Chanticleers in just a moment. Don't go away.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Overnight showers are likely with the low temperature dropping to 68. Tomorrow we do get some heavy storms, likely in the late afternoon to early evening hours. The high for Friday is 84. Now for the weekend, much nicer. Sunshine in the sky Saturday, much of Sunday, highs in the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing Friday Night Prime Rib Special. Our great chefs at Flight Deck Restaurant have created a great prime rib dinner special, which includes a 10-ounce slow-roasted certified Angus beef prime rib dinner, served with 2 sides of your choice for only $22.95. And if you mention We Love Flight Deck, you get a free cookie or a soft drink with your meal. So come see us at Flight Deck Restaurant to enjoy a delicious slow-roasted prime rib dinner. While you're here, check out the new and improved arcade with over 33 games. We at Flight Deck Restaurant thank you, and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Department of Homeland Security is putting hundreds of sanctuary jurisdictions across the country on notice. The department Thursday is publishing a list of the jurisdictions and said each one will receive formal notification that the government has deemed them non-compliant and if they're believed to be in violation of any criminal statutes. There's no specific definition of a sanctuary jurisdiction, but the term is often used to refer to communities that don't cooperate with immigration enforcement. The White House says Israel has accepted a new U.S. proposal for a temporary ceasefire with Hamas. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on Thursday said Special Envoy and Steve Witkoff and President Trump submitted a ceasefire proposal and Israel had backed and supported it. More details at srnnews.com.
When your pipes panic, Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning steps right in, fast and friendly. Josh and his team aren't just fixing leaks, they're restoring your peace of mind. This is when you're at your most vulnerable. You got a problem, you need a solution. They're not coming out to upsell you or talk you into something new this or new that. You'll appreciate their process. They'll tell you what needs to get done and what it'll cost before they ever even bring in their tools to start the work. They're locally owned, which unfortunately is no longer the norm in the Midlands. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning will treat every home like their own. They've done work for me, for my brother, countless numbers of Point listeners. Dial 799-2222 or visit franklinplumbing.sc.com and you tell them Kev from The Point sent you. You will experience plumbing that's more than just a fix. It's a solution from people who care about their work and stand by it. When you need them, Please don't panic. Just call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, 799-2222.
Hi, I'm Dondi Mercer-Plank. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting, let me introduce you to Grow Your Garden with Sal, your go-to spot for everything you need this season. As a South Carolina certified farm, they offer locally grown vegetable seedlings, plants, and seeds to help your garden thrive. And don't worry if you don't have a green thumb, Sal and her team will teach you how to grow with confidence. Shop online at growyourgardenwithsal.com or stop by 113 Hilltop Drive in Columbia.
It's painting season in the Midlands, and Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovation sets the tone for inspired living. Watch your home change from ordinary to outstanding with colors that liven every wall and craftsmanship you can trust. Michael and his team are fully licensed, bonded, and insured. They care for every detail inside and out of your home. Let's give your home the style and care it deserves. Call 922-5615. Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, where every project reflects pride.
If you step onto H&J Cattle's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at HandJCattle.com or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
Okay, let's get to the previews of these regionals at Clemson and at Coastal Carolina. I was up at Clemson today at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. The Tigers had their practice at about 10 o'clock, finished up about 11:15, and we got together with Coach Eric Bakich around 11:30. Got his thoughts about this regional, hosting this regional, including Upstate, his opponent, and West Virginia and Kentucky. Here's Eric Bakich.
Most exciting time of the year. Excited to watch our guys get after it, and got a loaded regional, a lot of talent. We've got the best 4 seed in the bracket in the entire tournament with USC Upstate, and obviously 2 really good programs with West Virginia and Kentucky. So I feel like this regional is loaded and a lot of good teams, and excited to get going.
Just pitching wise, you decided who's gonna?
Yeah, Tits. Yep, Drew Titsworth. He's got the ball tomorrow.
What kind of led to that decision?
Oh, we knew we were going to do it the whole time. Yeah, that was really kind of a no-brainer for us. So, yeah, excited to see him get out there. Feel really confident when he's on the mound.
Coach, what did you guys learn from the first matchup this season? I know it was almost 3 months ago at this point, but, you know, a demanding and commanding win that you had over them. What did you learn from Upstate in that matchup?
Nothing at all. They're a totally different team now. It would be foolish to look back and try to draw anything from that game. We're a different team. They're a different team. That was a random game on a neutral site, and they've gone on and just had a monster year and a lot of power hitters, and 5 or 6 guys with double-digit homers and coming off a dog pile. So we know they're feeling really good and confident and hot, and you know, just a tip of the cap to Coach Sweeney. He's certainly a rising star in the industry and has a loaded team. And for a first-year head coach to come in and do that, what he's done, taking over a program, that's double tough. So yeah, we a lot of respect for them, their program. Their program's always been good, but they certainly have playing with some extra juice this year for sure.
A lot of power in their lineup.
A lot of power in their lineup. 99 home runs, but it's not just one guy. It's 5-6 guys with, one guy's got 18, another guy's got 17, 16, 15. They just got a lot of threats. So their whole lineup can hit. They got a lot of doubles. They got a lot of homers. They're just a lot of threats in their lineup that will have to do a good job on the mound and play good, pitch good, play good defense for sure.
Coach, what do you think Coach Sweeney has done specifically to elevate this program to, historic first levels? And then how do you deal with a team when they're on this, such a historic run doing things they've never done before?
Well, I think, he was a great assistant coach too, and paid attention, was there for a while, and probably saw the success the program had and made some mental notes of what he was going to do when he became a head coach. And certainly helps when your little brother hits 17 homers too. So, but no, he's a great coach, and he's establishing himself, as a great head coach. And, everybody's hot at this time. I mean, this tournament is, is the ultimate, it's everybody's climbing the mountain, and we went from 300 plus teams to now 64. So everybody's good. Everybody's coming off a dog pile or coming off of having a great season. So you just can't take anybody lightly, can't overlook anything. And at this time of year, you got all good teams, so it's the team who plays the best is going to come out on top.
It's 3 years in a row you guys have hosted regionals now. When you look at just the last 3 years building the program to where it is now, is it kind of where you envision it being, or do you still have to see another kind of step where you want to take this program?
I mean, yeah, the next step is Omaha, and the step after that is winning a national championship. The step after that is doing it multiple times. But for 3 years in, to want to bring postseason baseball back to Doug Kingsmore Stadium, back to this community, knowing what it does. I mean, I remember first week I was on the job and meeting some of the local business owners here up and down College Avenue, and they were talking about, it sure is nice when we have postseason baseball here. It really helps us financially, and it's a little bit of an economic, boon to the town. It's our responsibility, it's our contribution, it's what we can do, not only for the athletic department, but just for the community in general. And then just the memories made with this community. It's an unbelievable community, and a lot of kids, a lot of families. So for all of them to participate in the action and make those memories as well, that's certainly one of the things we're chasing, in addition to what we want to do for the team.
Is there a certain amount of pressure on a team like yours playing at home when the expectations are so high every year to go to Omaha, and it's been tough for you guys to get back to Omaha, even though you've had these home regionals? Is there a certain amount of pressure on you being home once again?
Yeah, I mean, but you're either feeling the pressure or applying the pressure, right? So of course, these are the biggest stage and the brightest lights and the highest stakes, but that's all 16 host sites, and that's all the teams that have high expectations and have programs they feel like are the tippy top of college baseball, and you have to run right towards it. You got to run to the roar on that one. You can't back away from that. You can't shy away from it. We all signed up for it. The players, the coaches, everybody. This is why you do it. I mean, it's for these moments right here that. And we're okay. We're okay knowing that we will be judged based on what happens this round, the next round, and the round after that. We are okay with that. And we, along the way, there's some milestone things you want to accomplish that you set goals for. And, we got one of them with the Gamecocks and didn't get the ones we wanted in the ACC, but now we have this opportunity in front of us. So, there's a lot of things that you set goals for, but none are bigger than when the postseason starts and you have the opportunity to, do something magical, do something special. But it all starts with one game at a time, one pitch at a time.
As you mentioned the Gamecocks, is it kind of odd that they're not in this tournament at all? Do you feel like you guys have established yourself as the top program in the state now?
I'm not going to say that, but it's best for college baseball when Clemson and South Carolina are two of the top programs. It's certainly best for the state of South Carolina when Clemson and South Carolina are at the top of their games. And seeing Coastal Carolina, what they've done with Coach Gilmore and now what Coach Schnall has done too is just a testament to a program of consistency over there in Conway as well. So baseball is good. This is a hotbed of baseball throughout the entire Southeast, and you got really good teams in this state, and three teams that have had their moments. And South Carolina always has the thing that they can always point to, winning national titles in 10 and 11. So, we would never make a statement like that because we haven't achieved yet what they've achieved. But we're going to get there.
How have you kind of seen Titsworth evolve as a pitcher, going from like a reliever to your number 2 starter now?
Yeah, so, spent a lot of time recruiting Drew and his family. He's obviously from Frankenmuth, Michigan, so he was committed to Michigan, and we got a long look at him, early in his high school career. So I've just watched him really over the last 6 years, and he's always been a starter. And he didn't become a reliever until he got here last year and the early part of this year. So he's a big, strong, physical, durable kid. He's just got that physical makeup that his body can handle the starting role. So it was more just the timing and the opportunity had to present itself for him to get into the rotation. And so with us switching out Sunday starters and with Ethan Darden getting hurt, it just really just presented the opportunity itself. And he had good numbers as a reliever, and we thought, let's give it a shot. And he jumped in there, and that was the week that he was ACC Pitcher of the Week and went 6 strong innings. So he's very capable, and I think he's got he's actually added to his repertoire now as well. He's using his secondary stuff a little bit more, instead of where in a relief outing he could just maybe come in and just try to throw as hard as he can and rely on one pitch. Now he's mixing pitches. He and Coach Bellinger added a pitch. They added a split change, and so he's progressing. He's improving, and got a lot of confidence in him.
Still think you might get Darden back this weekend?
Yeah, he'll be back this weekend. He's cleared. So he and Garris both. So they probably guys that won't go long, but they'll be able to go, and that's important. Especially, you never know how these tournaments can go. We'd love to do what we did last year and win it in 3, but there's all different kinds of games. As we saw 2 years ago, we played a 14-inning game, and there's just different ways that you got to do it. So we'll see what the weekend has in store for us, but having those 2 guys available, that's the best kind of ability, is availability. So we'll take it.
For you guys to have the game here, talk about what an advantage it is being at home for this, and you know how the crowd is going to be.
Yeah, that's the advantage. I mean, everybody says sleeping in your own bed, and I don't think our guys, they like the hotels we stay at. We stay at nice hotels, but it's the fans. It's the fans that make this place so special. And we have great facilities. Don't get me wrong. We have a beautiful field, beautiful playing surface, but it's the energy the Clemson community puts into Doug Kingsmore Stadium that makes Doug Kingsmore Stadium that 10th man atmosphere. And so, growing that and getting that back, I felt like that was the legacy of Team 127 as they recaptured the energy and enthusiasm of the Clemson fan base. Team 126, it was, okay, Clemson baseball feels different. Clemson baseball's back. Last year the fans are back, and now it's our opportunity to continue to take strides and take steps and chase the things that we've never done here before.
We heard that you had the players wear Hawaiian t-shirts on the road the last couple of road trips. What was that about?
We just had to loosen up a little bit. We were holding on a little too tight, and we've always been a suit and tie. We travel in suit and ties. I don't know about you guys, but suit and ties are a little uncomfortable, and we just needed to get back to having fun and playing ball to our capability. So we've done that various times in the past. We did that 2 years ago, and we did that with our 2019 team at Michigan. So you got to break out the Hawaiian shirts when the time is right, but we're still wearing them, so that's good.
Okay, Eric Bakich talking up at Clemson, so it'll be Drew Titsworth getting the start tomorrow for Clemson, assuming there are games tomorrow. Going to have to wait and see on the weather there, but they feel like he's quite capable, and then if things were to go well for them and they win that game, they'd have their number 1 guy ready to go on Saturday. Bit of a roll of the dice, playing with a little bit of fire. See how it works out. We'll hear from Coastal after the break.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company in the Palmetto State, we want to hear about what you do. Sports Talk has a proven track record of delivering real results to our partners, and advertising with us is probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates gives us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or anywhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk every night. Radio remains one of the most effective ways to reach potential customers, and with our extensive reach across South Carolina, your message will be heard. Every business has a story, and we're here to help share yours. Let's find success together. Email us at sportstalkmedianetwork@gmail.com or visit sportstalksc.com to learn more about how we can help grow your business.
Okay, we're back, heading into the regionals tomorrow. Bergie, what you got from Coastal Carolina?
Yeah, the Chanticleers, much like the Tigers as the number 1 seed, got to practice first this morning about 10 o'clock, got out on the field, didn't have any weather problems early today, got off around 11:15 with batting practice, and then head coach Kevin Snall, along with Jacob Morrison and also Blake Barthol, visited with the media. Here's what they had to say about their matchup with Fairfield and the Conway Regional.
Well, we're one of 16 teams in the country to have the opportunity to play at home. This team has played as consistent as well the last 15 weeks as any team to ever play here at Coastal Carolina, and they obviously deserve this opportunity. So we're really proud of them and excited about what's ahead.
Coach, is there any added pressure knowing that you are hosting a regional with the success that you've had so far this regular season? You haven't been to Super since 2016 when you guys won the World Series. Just is there any added pressure with hosting it here?
Well, the expectations and standards of coastal baseball are extremely high. The last 25 years now, we've been as successful as any team in the entire country. So we welcome pressure. Our mentality is to prepare at an extreme high level. We feel like our attention to detail and our daily commitment to our grit and our grind is what separates us, and that will be the deciding factor this weekend is how well we play and how well we execute. And if we execute at a high level, we'll be very successful. We've executed at a high level. We've won 18 straight at this point. We've swept 7 weekends in a row. So can't be more excited about where our team's at.
Kevin, in terms of winning the first game of regional, it's always crucial to do so. In the past, it's kind of been a struggle to have that done here, especially in Conway. How much have you, as a coach and a coaching staff, really honed in on, taking care of business that first game so you're not playing behind the 8 ball, so to speak, as you guys have in the past?
We told these guys we got to win tomorrow. It's important. No, it comes down to, again, it just comes down to executing. Like at this stage of the game and of the year, you've got to execute at a high level. And if you execute at a high level, winning will take care of itself. But you guys remember 2 years ago, we played a familiar team in the MAC, Ryder, which, believe it or not, Ryder University is on the same road as my high school. And that was a dagger for them to beat us 2 years ago. But they deserved it. They played very well. Ultimately, we can't take these guys for granted. Fairfield's a very good team.
Blake, I want to ask you about just being an experienced guy that's played in a Conway Regional before.
Yeah.
How can you kind of use that experience and just kind of help lead this team through this journey?
We're going to take it as any other game, really. Coach is going to prepare us and have a plan for us, and we're going to execute that. And we're going to love our fans being here, and they're going to excite us, and we're going to be ready to go.
Blake, dovetailing off of that, any fuel off of last year going up to Clemson and not being able to win the regional to sort of take you into what you've been able to accomplish thus far this season and maybe motivate you into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, honestly, Schnall at the end of that regional, he looked me in the eyes. He said, next year we're winning this thing. So I vividly see that every day, and that's my motivation. That's our motivation. Schnall's our motivation, and our team's our motivation to win. So
we've been in the regional final 3 years in a row. So this team is ready for this opportunity. But again, it starts with game one. Blake Barthel is one of the most complete players to ever play here. Jacob Morrison's one of the biggest winners to ever play here. You guys 11-0. He's an extreme high competitor. So we're lucky with what we have in our dugout, and again, we're excited about what the weekend holds.
Coach, speaking on that top to bottom, you've had a couple of injuries late in the season, but guys have filled in roles, on the depth in this roster. And you look at the stat sheet, no one necessarily stands out. Obviously, Mo 11-0, and others on the pitching staff. But just what goes into the recruiting process to be able to draw guys here year after year, 1 through 35 on the roster, that puts you in a position to be where you're at right now?
Well, the lifeblood of our program is recruiting. The staple of our program is development. You look at our roster, we've got 18 different states represented on our roster. Everybody on our roster is able to help this team win, or they wouldn't be here. Injuries are a reality of a season, unfortunately. So we're prepared for injuries. We talk a lot about work while you wait, and those guys worked extremely hard while they were waiting, and they've gotten opportunities, and they've done a great job. We're very fortunate, though. We got a great athletic trainer and Amanda Rothmeyer, and we're trending in the right direction with some of those injuries.
Kevin, in terms of the rotation this week, at this point, I've got a feeling that you know kind of the game plan. Are you sticking with what you've been doing over the last couple of weeks, or are you going to kind of change things up in terms of who you're throwing out there tomorrow and then, of course, on Saturday?
We're still assessing that right now. We're not 100% sure the direction we're going to go in. We've got a decent idea, but we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper the next couple hours as we're dissecting Fairfield a little bit more. But we've got great options. So whichever decision we go with, we're very confident in.
As the NIL churns.
I got one word for the Coastal Carolina people, though, Bergie.
What is that?
Stags.
Stags. There's no doubt.
Be careful.
Yeah, they do not want a repeat of 2 years ago when they lost to another MAC team in Ryder in the opener and had to battle out of the losers bracket.
Broncos. Stags. Okay, to the NIL churns for tonight. Got some notes here. This is a story from On3's Pete Nakos. In recent months, top programs have begun paying recruits an annual salary before ever enrolling on campus. What started as lucrative NIL packages to land commitments evolved to $1,000 monthly payments to lock in commits and avoid taking visits. Yep, institutions' NIL collectives have smartened up too, including language in contracts that recruits must pay back the money if they do not enroll at that university. The process has become increasingly prevalent as collectives circumvent the impending House versus NCAA settlement revenue sharing camp. I mean, Bergie, they can't even wait until the settlement is signed off on and imposed before they're cheating. And I mean, who thinks the new world of college athletics is going to be any better than what it's been?
No, I can't imagine it's going to be any better. And the problem is we still have no clarity. And how much longer is this judge going to wait before she rules on this situation?
Who knows?
We're getting into June now. Yeah.
Who knows? Another note here. Princeton transfer guard Xavier Lee, who's going to Florida, is set to make a combined $6 million between Florida's NIL collective and the international shoe brand Serious Player Only. $6 million. Okay. Adidas has signed multiple top high school basketball recruits to NIL deals, including Caleb Holt, Tay Kinney, and Anthony Thompson. Also, girls basketball standouts Olivia Edwards and Kate Harpring, as well as 2027 basketball prospect Bruce Branch II. So they've all signed with Adidas, and they're still in high school. And that's it. That's all I've got for now. So as the NIL churns, that should disturb everybody about the collective's involvement and the fact that they're already looking for ways to circumvent the rules before the rules are even put into place. I mean, I go back to this one question: who is in charge? Where are the presidents? Don't they run their stupid universities? Don't they have some say-so over their athletic departments? Can't they tell their people, if you cheat, if you break these rules, we're going to fire you? Where is some leadership? This is going to continue to be unbridled. It's going to continue to be chaos. It's going to continue to be unbridled chaos even after the settlement is signed off on by the judge, because, as you can tell, people are going to do their own thing. They're going to continue to do their own thing and do what they have to do in recruiting. And that's why you see, and Paul Strelos is tied in as anybody, and he kind of hints at all this stuff. That's why you see some of these recruits all of a sudden changing their visitation plans, because at the 11th hour, somebody else has come in with a bigger deal and maybe already paying them up front, and they're taking visits to that school now and maybe getting locked in by that school before they visit anywhere else. So,
and ironically, Phil, and this is the greatest example of the tail wagging the dog, right? The athletic departments now rule the universities as opposed to the other way around. I don't know when that changed, but that's where we are now. The athletic department's bringing so much money, especially at the Power 4 level, that I don't know that the university presidents can tell the ADs or anybody anything, because there's so much money being pumped into their university by their athletic department. But it occurred to me when you were talking about players, canceling visits, going somewhere else because maybe there's another opportunity NIL-wise to get paid much more money. What if the legacy sports are the ones that actually bail college athletics out and figure out a way to, because they're starting to lose players. I mean, look at how many guys have pulled in their names out of the NBA draft because they want to go back to college. And it clearly has to be because they're making more money.
Clearly. All right. That'll do it. We'll see you from the ballparks tomorrow night. Have a great night.